Hello, my name's Bridget Gubbins and I'm in Morpeth's wonderful new library for the launch of my new book.
Tell us a little bit about the book. What's it called and what's it about?
Right, well it's called Cold War, Warm Hearts, and it's about when I was a young woman, aged 22, when I took off on my own to go behind the Iron Curtain to travel and see what life was like over there. This is in 1966.
Now that's half a century or more than half a century ago.
Yes, it is.
And life must have been very different then. Tell us a bit about what you found.
Right. Well, it was in the communist countries, from Poland through Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Serbia, Yugoslavia. I was in all those countries. And my main interest really, as at the age I was, because I was 22, was to meet young people and to find out what their lives were like over there. Because I'd heard all kinds of awful things about communism and jails and oppression and Russian tanks. And I must admit that I went off as a very ignorant young woman. I knew very little about any of that. So I was curious to find out.
It must have been a very brave thing to do for a woman to go to Eastern Europe on her own, all that time ago. How did you feel? Were you scared?
No, I wasn't scared. No, that's not the right word at all, because I'd just finished college and my friends and I were used to hitchhike all over the place. And I was used to hitchhiking in Spain and France and North Africa, Italy. But to go into the communist countries, that was totally a different thing. So I wasn't scared, but I was cautious, because you didn't really know what to expect. This was a different political system. And so, yes, I was certainly cautious.
And what sort of reception did you get from the people in the various countries that you travelled in?
Well, there was a lot of countries and there were a lot of people, because it took place over a year. But I would say, broadly speaking, everybody was very curious about me. I would come with my Union Jack because I didn't want anyone to think I was a German girl. It was too close to the war, and I had long blonde hair, and people would think I was German, so I made sure that they knew I wasn't German. But having said that, I would stay on farms, I would stay in youth hostels, I would stay in family houses. I learned how to say in all half a dozen different languages, please may I sleep in your barn tonight, that sort of thing. That's how I got around.
It sounds as if, in general, you got a pretty warm welcome.
Absolutely, yes. And there's one particular family that I stayed with in Hungary, because the people who are watching this may know, but in 1956 the Hungarians had a revolution, and at the end of the revolution the Russian tanks came in and loads of people fled the country, and we ended up with our family in Gosforth with a student from Budapest University. He stayed with us for several years, and so I visited his family, and they were so wonderful to me, because my parents had been so good to their son, and that was an example of most wonderful hospitality.
Now, as we say, this was more than half a century ago, and things have changed a great deal. The Berlin Wall's come down, the Iron Curtain all but disappeared, and now things, to a certain degree, have almost gone full circle.
Yes.
How do you view the state of affairs in Eastern Europe now?
Well, it's really scary, because all of the people, when I was over there, they always were aware that the Russian bear was just a few kilometers over the border. There was always that presence there. And now, I think with Russia moving into the Ukraine, taking over the Crimea, but especially Ukraine, it's so close to those people in Poland and Hungary and the Czech Republic, and they must be really worrying that this same thing isn't going to happen to them again.
In the intervening years, have you been back at all?
I went back a lot after the Berlin Wall came down in 1989. Then my daughters were sort of 12 and 14 at the time, took them back to East Germany, been to Poland, been to Romania, Hungary, a lot, especially Romania, but all of those countries actually. And then in 1991, when the Soviet Union collapsed, then I would go back into various countries of the various states of the former Soviet Union too. So I've done a lot of that, yes.
And the book, what's the reception been like so far?
Well, it's brand new. This is I'm going to find out, because tonight's for the first time it's being launched. But the few people who've helped me with it have been very positive, and again, this Hungarian family, this lovely young woman who's a daughter of that family, where I stayed with, she said, I'm laughing and I'm crying and I'm crying and I'm laughing again. And they're so pleased that I've recorded that particular time, you know, a very sad time in their lives when their brother was in a faraway country and they couldn't see him. So that's been very wonderful for me to have that reception.
And now you've written a number of books. This is just your latest. Have you got anything else on the stocks?
You asked me that last year, Terry, exactly the same question. The short answer is yes. I've got the other one, which is just about ready to go, and it should certainly be out by this time next year. And that's what I call a prequel, because this took place when I left college, this particular book that we're launching tonight. But the one I'm having next year is about the 3 years when my friends and I were in college and we learned to hitchhike through Spain and North Africa, and how we actually got the courage to and learned the skills of doing that kind of travelling.
And what would you say to anybody today, any young person, young girl even, who was thinking of following in your footsteps?
I always wanted my daughters not to know what I'd done, you know, because I didn't want them to follow my footsteps, basically. I think it's different now. There are too many motorways, for one thing, and in the days when I did it, you just got out on the road and you headed for where you were going. And I also think there's too much traffic, and it's just a different world. I think, although it's never exactly safe when we did those things, it isn't like it is now.
So in a lot of ways, it was safer for you all those years ago than it is now.
Well, I feel that way. I mean, when I was travelling down through Germany at one point, there were what they call the Autobahn murders. And that was, everybody said, oh, don't go hitchhiking, you know, the murders are taking place. But I all thought, well, it won't happen to me.
Anyway, you look back on it with a great deal of affection, I imagine.
With a lot of interest, yes, I think so, yes.
Well, good luck with the book.
Thank you very much.